Please hold while we connect you to your Access Live event.
You see what she looks like?
This Access Live event is currently in progress.
Yeah.
Please note that this call may be monitored, recorded, or rebroadcast.
Nation, and we'll be working hard on that.
Well,
So what's the next question, Kate?
Sure thing. I just want to remind everyone to press *3 to ask a question on tonight's call. That's *3 on your telephone. So another topic we've heard a lot about is the conflict between Israel and Iran. What are your thoughts on the action taken to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapon capabilities?
Iran can simply not obtain a nuclear weapon. And let me tell you that presidents since the time of Bill Clinton have all been recorded as saying they cannot and should not obtain a nuclear weapon. I think what President Trump did and his actions, he had made actions that were decisive to target Iran's nuclear program without a significant loss of life, and then turn around and immediately broker a lasting ceasefire between Israel and Iran. And I support our president's strong approach. And thanks to it, the Middle East is stabilizing, and peace talks continue to offer hope for ending the Israel-Iran conflict. This is what is meant when we say peace through strength. And this is what it looks like. And it's why it's such an important governing philosophy when dealing with international conflict. So I applaud the president for what he did. We have been briefed on all the details, and let me tell you that it was a very good briefing, bipartisan briefing, and let me just say that they did a very good job. So what's next, Kate?
Alrighty. For everyone just joining the call, remember you can ask the Congressman a question live tonight by pressing *3 on your telephone keypad. That's *3. For the next question, our office receives calls asking how the One Big Beautiful Bill will impact rural health care. Can you talk about that?
I sure can. To those of you who have heard rumors from the critics that this will destroy rural health care, don't believe the scare tactics. This bill provided $50 billion in targeted funds for rural care. It gives states flexibility to support local providers. Trust me, I know how much rural health service means to Southern Illinois. I've helped secure millions of dollars in grants for our hospitals across Southern Illinois and back legislation to reduce bureaucracy and red tape that halts rural health care and work to expand access.
The Access Live event operator has been notified that you wish to ask a question.
Whether in person or virtually. So both of those are now in there. This is an important issue for me, as I know it is for my constituents. And as we're preparing to open things up for questions, one last reminder, if you want to ask a question tonight or share a comment, press *3 and you'll be placed in line. Now another thing I'd like to do is poll our listeners on important issues of the day. Tonight we have a simple question. I want to hear from you. Do you support the One Big Beautiful Bill? If you do, press 1. If you support the One Big Beautiful Bill, press 2 if you don't support the One Big Beautiful Bill. And
your response has been registered.
If you are unsure, again, press 1 if you're in favor of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Press 2 if you're not a supporter of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And if you're unsure, press 3. We'll share those results at the end of the call. Okay, Caden, let's open up lines.
Alrighty, our first question is from Teresa over in Franklin County.
Hi, Teresa, you on the line?
So I'm trying to find out more about the VA and why the benefits are getting for people. And I thought you were on all kinds of committees to support the VA, but it doesn't seem like that is really happening at our local VA in Marion. Seems like I know people losing jobs and I know people losing benefits.
Okay. First off, no one has lost. I think there was one person that has lost their job at the VA because we kind of monitor that. Right now, it was very clear that the secretary actually came out last week and said all job reduction is going to occur through attrition. And what you need to understand is that the VA has 477,000 employees, and by the time it's said and done, the reduce in staffing through attrition is going to be about 30,000. And that's because we have, over the last several years, we've more than doubled the funding at VA, but the wait times and everything like that on the bureaucratic side for your benefit ratings, all of those type things, the numbers haven't gone down. But since I've been in Congress, we have actually passed the PACT Act, we passed the Mission Act, we passed the Elizabeth Dole Act. All of these things have been praised nationwide, and we work, every VA, we try to help. I know that Marion gets a very, very high rating, and I'm not just involved with the VA, I'm chairman of the VA here in Congress. And I can tell you about the VA from top to bottom. I've also carried language to try to speed up the appeals process. I did that before I was chairman, and we've got another bill to try to correct some other issues right there. I'm trying to deal with that. I myself am a veteran, and you better believe that it's a top priority of mine. And if you have names of people that you say have been let go, please reach out to my office, or if someone isn't receiving the proper care they need, I have a staffer in district that focuses only on the VA issues, and have had for quite some time. So, and let me tell you that quite often what you get from the VA is most people either love it when they go to the VA or they hate it when they go to VA based on their experience. But we do monitor to make sure that we try to improve that, and we have other veterans that work with us to do that as well. So thanks for the call, Don.
All right. Our next question tonight will be from Harry over in Lake of Egypt.
Hi, Harry. Are you on the line?
Yes, I am. I'm real surprised to hear you get the most calls about the post office, given this day and age. However, I'm encouraged to understand, are you predicting that the medical care here in rural southern Illinois is going to improve now based on the big, beautiful bill?
I believe that the Medicare will improve based on the quality of the implementation of the state of Illinois of what we have now turned over to the states on the Medicaid. Now make sure you understand this. Medicare was not touched, and Social Security not touched. Medicaid is what we're talking about. And what we did was we made it to where if you receive Medicaid or SNAP, first off, it does not go to illegals. You can't give it to illegals. And what we've also done is to make sure that the error rates in states are going to be reduced by the fact that there's going to be a shared cost with the state based on their error rate. So based on the fact that the money is going to be going to the people it's supposed to, then yes, I would believe that the quality of the payments would be improved. Let me tell you that doesn't mean it's going to change one way or the other as far as the care, because the care is based on the hospital. And in that bill...
yes, sir, in the hospital is based on the availability of that money.
Right,
so
and this is
why I think people are very concerned it's going to demise. Furthermore, what about food availability? I feel like Southern Illinois is already stretched and suffering from food insecurity, with 218,000 people in Southern Illinois losing their food benefits. How are we going to keep up with that?
Okay, here. So let me finish up on the Medicare first. Also, we put $50 billion extra dollars in the rural care, okay, in the big, beautiful bill. But what it did do, and so maybe you don't agree with this, but I have a feeling most listeners will. When it comes to SNAP, we did not cut SNAP. What we did was we said that if you are a recipient of SNAP, you are between the age of 18 and 65. You are not mentally or physically disabled. You do not have a child under 12, or you're not pregnant. Then you are required to work 20 hours a week, or show that you're searching for work 20 hours a week, or seeking education to improve your opportunity for work for 20 hours a week. So The only reason you would lose your SNAP benefits is if you are here illegally, which is a violation of law. And that would be something that why it is we have to work on the error rates that exist in our states, because right now this is just simply a pass-through program, and the states have no skin in the game, so they can have error rates and basically not necessarily give it to those people who were really seeking it and need it, and that's what's been going on. Now, let me tell you that the error rate in Illinois is somewhere between 10 and 11%. We're trying to get everybody down to 5% within 2 years. If you don't get down to that point, there will be an increase in the amount your state has to pay to offset those costs. Our worst state was Alaska, that was almost at 60%. So what we're doing is we're being wiser with your tax dollars and making sure that it's going to those people that are United States citizens and are here legally, so that they can receive the benefit that they need and not go through and throw this debt off to our children and grandchildren for such a long time. And it's probably one of the better improvements we've ever made. But thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you calling.
All right, our next caller is Antonio from over in Carbondale.
Hi, Antonio.
Hello, and thank you for holding the town meeting today. I appreciate it. I just want to say, from a resident in Carbondale, I am worried how this big, beautiful bill is going to affect people. Right now, you talked about all the new or more requirements that's gonna, hopefully phase out SNAP benefits or any kind of funding to people that don't deserve it, or for people that that shouldn't be getting it. But what I'm concerned about is all those extra paperwork is going to put a lot of strain on older people who doesn't have, the best access to internet or best access to their documents, and they're going to not get these benefits because they're not able to fill out these applications or meet the requirements. But that doesn't mean that they still don't need it. So that's what I'm concerned about. And then I'm really concerned that I feel like the focus right now that you're talking about is very like a national level, national level, like the border security and illegal immigrants and things like that. But as a state that doesn't have any border with Mexico or Canada, I just feel like the focus should be more on Southern Illinois and what we should improve, because I see that national chains are opening up in Carbondale, but I don't see any small and mom and pop shops. I don't see any support for small businesses. They're all going out of business. And then, that takes away all of the good food or the good ingredients that we could be getting to our people. Somebody talked about the lack of food options in Southern Illinois. That's totally true. It's going to ruin our health if we don't do anything about, if we don't have concerns over the health of our Southern Illinois residents. I really would appreciate if you could talk to us about how this big, beautiful bill is going to directly affect us in Southern Illinois and not so much on the national level.
Well, first off, understand that I represent Southern Illinois, but I work on a national level. And let me tell you that I think the benefits are going to be huge for Southern Illinois. You've made their people's tax cuts permanent. It eliminated taxes on tips, overtime, and new car loan interest. That is the working men and women right out there. I'll guarantee you, I got a lot of people in my district that get taxes and tips, get tips and overtime, encourages new car sales, provides $175 billion. That's for the border. I don't think a majority of my constituents are upset over someone who's receiving these benefits that's healthy, having the opportunity to go out and seek work. Now, how that will help is more people seeking work, even part-time work of 20 hours a week, will help those small businesses. What else helps those small businesses was preventing a tax increase of 27% on average per our local families. Not a billionaire like what was being said, but on those mom and pop businesses and those middle income workers, and actually the upper lower income workers would have received a very high tax increase. 68,000 families in our area keep their full child tax credit. Now, let me tell you that again. Okay, because you're saying I don't worry about, you didn't feel like I was worried about Southern Illinois. 68,000 families in our area keep their full child tax credit. And 94% of taxpayers keep their standard deductions. Now, that protects about 9,000 manufacturing jobs and over 800 million in manufacturing wages. So, yep, I do represent Southern Illinois, and I'm proud to represent them with this. And, I know there's a lot of people, look, the only thing the people that were opposed to this have is to make claims that aren't necessarily true. And I know that's awful to think that they would do that, but the reality is they did, and now even the reviews from every newspaper not around is saying how much of a benefit it was to pass this bill. So, but thank you for the call. I appreciate it.
Okay, our next question is from Jenny over in Johnsonville.
Hi, Jenny. Are you on the line?
I am on the line. Thank you very much. I was wondering why you keep voting for stuff when we have called over and over and over again and asked you, the same questions, and you're still supporting things when many, many people are asking for more detailed information. And I'm sorry, sir, but you are not representing Southern Illinois. There are more than just Republicans in Southern Illinois. I'm disabled.
Well, that's your opinion. I appreciate it. The calls to my office, we actually have a majority of the calls that are in support of this. It's not a majority of the calls that are in opposition to this. And the bright side is that we have elections, and I think it was very clear in my district because both the president and I, during the last election, said these were the things that we were going to do. We were going to secure the border. We were going to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Now, I'm going to tell you that, like I said, we're still going to be providing Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. No cuts to the last two. Medicaid is the one we're talking about, not cutting, but making sure the people that are on it are people that qualify for it. And I don't understand where the concern, why would you not be concerned about the fact that you're taxing low-income families and middle-income families that are the working men and women to provide something to people that, one, either are illegal, or two, are not meeting the qualifications according to their own surveys of the state of Illinois because of their error rate. And that savings alone means a lot. And it means putting people back to work, which is fantastic. And when you start seeing what's happening around this nation and what the price of fuel going down, with the price of fuel going down, the price of inflation not skyrocketing like it was, I'm more than happy to share how often people call in support of passing this bill and doing these things. And I think the voters showed that as well. But I appreciate the call. Thank you.
All right. Our next call will come from Jessica over in Hawaii.
Jessica, are you online?
Hi, Congressman.
Hi.
My name is Jessie. Hey, how are you?
Hi,
I've actually flown to DC a couple of times in this year to meet with you and talk to you about the big beautiful bill, and you quite literally ran away from our group twice on more than one occasion. So what I'm wanting to know is how this bill is going to be so much better for people in rural Illinois when it does, and the no tax on tips and the no tax on overtime is only federal, so it only goes to so much. That doesn't mean that everyone's overtime is no longer taxed. That's not what's happening. I read it.
Actually, I think most of my people okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Do you know that most of our people who get tips, the cap is $25,000. That's a lot. The overtime is those true people that work overtime. Those are not billionaires. And I don't remember running away from any group here in D.C. I appreciate you saying that, but that's like a lot of things that are said around here. And because if my constituents come in, if I'm not in a meeting, I'm more than willing to talk to people here and have. Matter of fact, I have meetings every 15 minutes when I'm not in a committee, every 15 minutes with different people. And I'm glad to show you my schedule just to show you that. But the statement that you came out and I ran away from you, I'm sorry. I don't think that that's the case, but it was nice of you to say. But thanks for calling.
All right, our next question will come from Robert over in Waterloo.
Robert, are you online?
Yes. I would like to know, you are touting all the successes of the big, beautiful bill, but you're cutting social programs left and right to pay for increases to the ICE budget, which now has a bigger budget than the Marine Corps. We're paying for tax cuts for billionaires and millionaires and the ultra wealthy at the cost of PBS, NPR, Medicaid. All these social programs are being destroyed in favor of the most wealthy among us and in favor of the military-industrial complex. And you say that a lot of people are calling into your office in favor of this bill, yet in this telephone town hall, which is the only way we can contact you since you won't do in-person town halls, they're saying that they don't support this bill. So how do you lie about these things, about the big, beautiful bill helping people when Republicans campaigned on not cutting Medicaid? Then they cut Medicaid as soon as they get it. Then we're cutting the Department of Education, all to pay for tax cuts for billionaires and more wars to be funded and the deportation of people from this country.
Ready? So let me say, I'll say the same thing I did, and that is Medicare is not being cut for those people who need it. It's being cut, and there are work requirements with it. But it's not being cut for people who need it. It's being cut for those people who are falsely on the system. Now, you mentioned a couple other things that were out there. PBS and NPR cuts. So when PBS and NPR came about, they were to provide funding for education for children on a television program and everything like that. Well, now we can get all kinds of programming, and if NPR and PBS they do individual fundraising. If they want to do that, they can, but we have existing family programs online. We have existing television programs online. There is a time for change, and that time was where we could take that money and redirect it in other places. And you know, it not only that, the NPR and PBS began to have political opinions rather than just news and reporting. And it's kind of got to the point. Now, the other programming on there, I love it. I watch every once in a while. And I have been known to support it and actually been on fundraisers to help support it. But that's just it. We're a long way away from free channels, and the public channel was one of them. So when those funds can be redirected, I'm happy to do that. And the list goes on the positive things that are in this bill. But I appreciate the call. Thank you.
Our next question is from Allison over in Marion.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Mike. My name's Allison. I'm from Marion. We recently organized a protest at two of your offices, and I was just curious why you made a statement on Facebook that we littered. We very clearly did not. We did several sweeps of the area. There was no litter. I'm just curious why you felt the need to lie about what we were out there for.
Muscuda did not.
Yes, I also organized that one too.
Muscuda did not have litter left. Murfreesboro did, and it did. But that being said, you know, we made sure you were given water, and matter of fact, we gave ice cream because I'm all for your right under the First Amendment to protest and do all that. We actually let members of the group in Murfreesboro, they came in the office and met with Miles and took your petitions, and so that's part of the process. But whenever the trash was left, it did need to be mentioned. So, but thank you for the call.
All Alrighty, our next question is from Jamie over in Chester.
Hi, Jamie.
Hello.
Hi, Jamie. You're on the line.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks.
I just was wondering, the return to office mandate, specifically regarding the Marion VA, is there still going to be any exemptions allowed on that? I'm seeing that there's jobs being posted that are remote jobs, and I know that there's been some departments that have been granted exemptions and some that aren't, and I was just wondering if there might be any more.
Let me tell you that I am working with the secretary on those, listening to his process. The return to work are those jobs that you need to be there in person. If we are in a time when if you can do something online, and especially with rural areas, then those are jobs that are being looked at on the opportunity to do that. And the reason being is because, and for some, to tell you the truth, we could then start looking also at possibly reducing our overall footprint on real estate. If we can have less offices and everything, in-person offices. And so we've been watching that, and they came to realize that there are those, and I'll be working with the secretary on that with the VA. But there's other agencies too that there is some type of away from the office work that just has to be. So yes, thank you for that question.
All right, our next question will come from Christina over in Gardendale.
Hi, Christina.
Good evening.
Christina, hello.
Hello.
Are you on the
Hello?
line? Yes, you're on the line.
All right. I'm pretty concerned about this one big beautiful bill that was passed, but also your role in handing over powers of Congress to the executive. And I'm just curious, for you, what exactly do you see the role of the federal government as doing for the people? You know, as the caller mentioned before, all of these social programs are being drastically slashed. And in Southern Illinois, we have quite a federal presence. There's the VA, but also all of our public lands that are down here. And the atmosphere of fear and chaos that the administration has purposely instilled in them is just, it's criminal down here. It's lamentable, it's wrong, and I don't think that you should be supporting all of these efforts to be actively harming our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, our constituents in this area. So to repeat my question, yes, what do you see the role of the federal government as playing, and why are you making or aiding these decisions to slash programs that hurt people in our part of the state?
Because I'm not slashing programs. We realize that there's waste in certain programs. I will guarantee you that we will still have our workers that are going to be at the U.S. Forestry. We still have Marion Prison. You know, we've still got our workers in our prison. We'll still have the same amount of workers at VA, except for anyone that some of them might go through attrition, but we're not going to reduce any services. We're you know, I mean, like any household, because one thing is as well, the taxpayers of Southern Illinois, and this was not handing more over to an administration. It was actually taking back control because the Congress themselves passed it. And we passed it in the way of the rules of the House, and we passed it to the president, who signed it, just like every other way that bills have been passed over the years. Now, just because we reduce a budget for a particular agency doesn't mean that it is reduced or got rid of. Now, that's not the case with PBS and NPR, and it is, there are very few others, but most of this is done to be wise with your tax dollars. And when I tell you that, I mean, it's getting kind of interesting how the calls got loaded up tonight, but you do have to understand that a majority of my district really does support this.
Okay, our next question will come from Janice over in Carbondale.
Yeah, Janet, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
How do you feel about Jeffrey Epstein and not releasing those bills, since that has been always a big thing for both parties to know if Bill Clinton, whoever it is,
right.
How do you feel about it not helping these, exploit these young girls, and how can we as a country work toward making sure that we are letting the American people know what's going on? And just hearing him say, it's okay, but we want to see the documents because we want these people to be punished no matter if it's Democrat or Republican.
Got it. Yep. So there should be transparency. I believe it. I've said it all along to working people in America that they should know about this. You heard it from the president himself last week that he instructed the General Pam Bondi to release whatever information she finds credible. He wants relevant files and testimony made public for people to review for themselves, and I agree with him on that request. The bad thing is there was a political game played earlier this week, late last week, and it was a straight up or down vote that an amendment that somebody tried to push, and so that was not the way to do it. And I'm going to tell you this, if our Democrat colleagues were serious about exposing the truth, they would have done it when Biden was in power, or working through regular order and let Congress vote on it in a clean bill instead of a procedural vote. So we'll see what will happen here. I am pushing for it. I think it should be released. Of course, I have also not read the report, but yes, I'm pushing for it. So I appreciate you asking that question because I haven't been asked that a lot.
All right, our next question is from Beverly about postal parade.
Hi, Beverly, are you with us?
Yes, Mike. It's not a question, it's a statement. I mailed a graduation card to my granddaughter in Eddyville from Energy on May 9th. St. Louis postmarked it May 17th. On July 18th, it was back in my mailbox. No notes stamped on it, but it had been torn open, and they didn't get any money because it was a check. So they need to really investigate.
We will do the investigation on this. We did have a problem in a couple of our post offices with just that happening. Those investigations have been turned over. They were criminal investigations. They were caught doing things like this. But we've got to keep a constant eye. But the real issue out there right now is the fact that mail is going to St. Louis and being lost and or delayed. And that's why that one bill that I carried that says that if the post office causes it to not to receive a bill or something else that causes a fine or a late penalty, then they should be responsible for that late penalty because, it's ridiculous in today's age that we have to be worried about your water bill getting to you from your own city because it has to go out to St. Louis and back. But I sure appreciate the call and understand we're working on it.
Right. Our next caller is Mary from over in Effingham.
Hi, Mary. Are you online? Mary? Mary, are you with us?
Can you hear us, Mary?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I guess they just unmuted me. Okay, I have a couple of comments first, quickly, before I ask my question. My first comment is a positive one. That I'm glad you're taking calls from real people tonight. A lot of them are definitely questioning you on several things, and I think that's healthy. So thanks for doing this way. My second comment goes to something you've said during this town hall. You referred a couple times to people as illegals. I would ask you to stop doing that, because no human is illegal. There are humans.
Go ahead, Mary. I lose you?
At the language that's being used about people and dehumanizing them, and you need to stop it. And you can make a difference.
Well, I appreciate the comment.
My question.
Okay, your question, yes. You're cutting in and out, Mary.
It's a bad signal out here. Sorry about that. It's rural Illinois.
Okay.
My question has to do, again, with health care.
Okay.
In Southern Illinois. When RFK Jr. was being considered for the secretary position, he testified under oath that he wouldn't touch vaccines. He has gone on to, I think, wage a war on vaccines, not to mention cutting grants for cancer research and all manner of health research, which is a bad thing all the way around. And that is not waste, fraud, and abuse. But what I want to know, because I have been talking to nurses and public health people, that they're pretty sure we're going to be able to get vaccines this year. But following that, they're not sure. I want to know what you're going to do to ensure that we have vaccines available to us at any age. I mean, flu vaccines, COVID, measles vaccines, the sorts of things that we're used to in this country.
Well,
and, you know,
I mean, we do support those vaccines that we've had for long periods of time, and if you want the vaccines, they're available at your if you are a Medicaid recipient, you will still receive that paid for. If you are not, you will have to pay for it like you do now, or use your insurance to pay for it. But I haven't seen any reduction in. The only thing I can say is that it's not going to be forced vaccine. It's going to be available if that's what you choose to do. But I appreciate the call.
All righty. Our next question is coming from John about tariffs.
Hi, John. You on the line?
On the line. Thank you, Congressman, for taking my call. My question is on tariffs and how the 10% tariff on Canadian oil is hurting our district. As you know, there's probably about 12 refineries in the United States that get their oil from Canada, and one of those is in our district. It's the Wood River Refinery in Roxana. Employs maybe 800 people, high-paying jobs, and it's specifically designed to handle that slate, the challenges of the crude that comes from Canada, with all the extra challenges that it comes with. And this really just hurts the refinery. It hurts our district. I've seen the gas prices in my area go up by about 10 cents a gallon at those stations that get their oil from Wood River. Now, not everyone in the St. Louis area, those refineries, some of them come from Texas, but you can't change the feedstock at the Wood River Refinery to U.S. stuff. It's designed, they just increased the hydrocracker, put a lot of money in that. Now, I know you have an amazing relationship with President Trump, and I'm hoping that if you could use that relationship to knock that tariff out, I think that would be a good thing for our district.
I appreciate the input on it and understand all negotiations are going on pretty heavy right now. And let me tell you that one of the main negotiations with Canada that's been going on, and the concerns back and forth, is working with them and Mexico both to stop the flow of fentanyl across. But as we were working with them also, we need to be treated fair by Canada. Do you understand that on our dairy products, if you're going to put a dairy product into Canada, they charge a 400% tariff on our dairy products. But I agree with you on the fuel, on the crude. I will deliver the message, and I appreciate the input. Thank you.
Right, our next question is coming from Bruce over in Effingham.
Hey, Bruce, are you on the line?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes? Hi.
Yeah, you're on the line.
In your opening statement, you made a reference to NPR and PBS as liberal biased news agencies.
Yep.
That is false. That's a dog whistle. If you look at 4 of the different companies or whatever that have researched all this, there's a scatter graph that shows the horizontal is your biased and the vertical is how accurate and that sort of thing. And PBS and NPR are at the top of both of those axes. If you look at all of the other ones, you know, the normal ABC, NBC, CBS, and of course Fox and Newsmax, especially those two, they're so far right and so inaccurate. How can you decide that PBS and NPR is a liberal bias?
Well, first off, PBS and NPR are the ones that have been over the years supported by tax dollars. And the real concern there is that how many other stations are out there that can deliver the news and do those other things. NPR also then raises private funds for a lot of their support, and PBS raises a lot of funds for their support of their programming. Matter of fact, as I said, I actually have supported a lot of their programs. And when I tell you that it's biased, sorry that you don't agree with me, but I still agree that it is. It has some tendencies to support one over the other, but it's government funded, and you know that's just it. They push for bigger government, and but I appreciate the input. Thank you so much.
Right, our next question is going to come from Carol over in Cobb.
Carol, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Glad you were able to have us on, Mike. I do want to say on a positive note that I want to thank you for the big, beautiful bill. I'm a small business owner in Cobden down here, and I want to thank you for that. So.
Well, you're welcome. I'm telling you that, you know, I mean, tonight we've kind of let more of the other side in and let them hear it, but it's good to hear from you.
Yeah. Yep, it was great. I researched it way before it was going on, and you know, the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime is going to be great for this area, and like I say, especially being a small business owner, is going to be wonderful down here for us. The first question I have for you, Mike, is I know this is kind of a state issue here, but kind of wondering what we do as in our state if this comes down. I don't know if this is going to come down, but there's been a big push again about mileage tax. In Illinois, and that would be very, very detrimental to Southern Illinois because all my clients, all my stuff I have to do is miles and miles away from me.
Right.
So it would be very, very hard on us in Southern Illinois if something like that were to pass in Illinois.
I agree with you on that. Now they're looking for, they're doing the same thing in Illinois. I don't agree with that mileage tax that way, but what they're doing is, you know, having as many low burning, less fuel fuel economy better on your car, as well as our electric cars, they still wear the road, but they don't generate the revenue that is necessary in the motor fuel tax. So that's why you have both the states and the feds looking for other things, because you got to remember when the state motor fuel tax was created, trucks got about 2 miles per gallon and cars got about 7. And I'm really glad that we have more efficient cars now, and everybody is. But we've got to figure out something, because the cost for repairing roads has gone up in comparison to the fact that the motor fuel tax is not. So I don't necessarily agree with the state's proposal there, but we're also in D.C. looking for something that would be a sensible and fair user fee for our highways. And figuring out how to do that, because like I said, back when we put the motor fuel tax on, or when our forefathers put it on, it was very sensible at the time, and everybody paid their fair share because it was based on gallons burned. So, but I appreciate that. I think a lot of people don't understand that that's the case, But I sure appreciate the input. And with that,
Yeah. I did have one other question for you.
All right.
I did have one other question for you if you've got time for it.
Sure.
The other thing is, there's been this weaponization of the Justice Department in the past and stuff, and it sounds like stuff is kind of happening, with referrals and stuff. Just kind of wondering where Congress's position was on, or what it is on this whole weaponization that we've had, of President Trump and others, this Russia collusion thing, and where you think that's going to go.
So here's the thing, as we move forward with the investigation in there, as our oversight, now understand this, a lot of these things that if there is a crime, whether it's prosecuted or not is not decided by Congress. If it's investigated through our Congressional Committee on Oversight, Jamie Comer's committee, and others, because they have oversight, so same I do with the VA. If there's a problem with the VA, we can go and do oversight. But as far as prosecuting or anything like that, that is done strictly through the Department of Justice. I don't know what the end there will be. There's some very big concerning issues that come up when we've checked into it. Of course, we've got the same thing at the VA. We had a whole group of upper echelon people at the VA that during the mid part of the last administration, we found it whenever they were supposed to be given bonuses to keep people after COVID for docs and frontline workers and nurses and all of that, executives, some of them were drawing $100,000. So we'll do those oversights, but as far as whether it's going to be, if it is a legal charge, it must be done from the Department of Justice through the general herself. It has to do them to pursue the prosecution. So that's where I see it going. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I appreciate the input and appreciate you being on the call. And with that, Gaten?
All righty. So we've got a little less than 5 minutes tonight, so we've got time for one more quick question, and then we'll share the results of the poll. Our next question is from Clark.
Hi, Clark. Are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Hi, Congressman. I just wanted to bring up the fact that I think that it's kind of humorous that you brought up earlier about talking about getting your household in order, getting your budget in order, whenever you voted to increase the deficit by $3.8 trillion over 10 years. Not only that, but as far as Medicaid is concerned, there have been 2 states so far that have put in work requirements. It's funny to me that you guys keep saying that work requirements are going to help get rid of people who are 35-year-olds in their basements playing video games, whenever 90 or actually, you know what? I'm not going to say 90 because I'm not going to be an absolutist. Let's say at least 75% of the people who are on Medicaid are also working. 2 states, Georgia, Arkansas, did the exact same thing that you guys are trying to do. You know what they saw? Decreased people on Medicaid in a completely, and they did not gain any jobs. There is actually no increase in the amount of people employed. So whenever you talk about this as something like, oh, well, I just want able-bodied people to be able to work and not draw Medicaid, that's not true. You are going to see people get their benefits cut. You're going to see people die in your district. You're going to see rural hospitals close in your district, and you voted for it, just like Mike Johnson did. And he has 40% of his constituents are on Medicaid. So I just wanted to say.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I just want to say this, that I explained where, and then we may disagree, but the numbers you're quoting were not accurate. And whenever you talk about that the bill will increase the deficit, the Council on Economic Advisors predicted that the legislature will reduce the deficit by over $2 trillion. It will reduce the deficit by increasing economic growth, cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, and delivering historic levels of mandatory savings. So with that was our last caller, but let me say this. As you can tell, we let in people who might have a different opinion on it, and I'm glad we got to hear it. With that, Caden, do we have the results?
We sure do. So of all the people who participated in the poll, 49% approve of the Big Beautiful Bill, 29% do not approve of the Big Beautiful Bill, and 22% are just unsure.
Okay, well, time's up for today. So thank you for being on the call. Hey, if you didn't get a chance to ask a question, please stay on the line. You will be connected by the voicemail box where you can leave us a message. We will respond to your questions promptly, and we'll direct you as soon as we can, where you can get the help you need. In addition, you can visit my website at bost.house.gov or follow me on Facebook or Twitter. Everybody, thank you for being on the line. God bless.